There you are, waking up, putting in the hours every single day to make your business or your job a success, but it's just not happening for you despite all of your effort. Have you ever wondered why? We live in a materialistic society, so we focus a lot on the physical, tangible things. But actually, as Muslims, we know that there are hidden metaphysical aspects at play as well that directly affect our wallet. A big one of these is barakah. In Islam, barakah refers to the blessing and the increase in goodness that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as part and parcel of living a good and moral Islamic life. But just like certain actions can increase your barakah, other actions that you might be doing, knowingly or unknowingly, are actually decreasing your barakah. So in this video, I'm going to explore 5 ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet have explained can lead to a loss in the barakah of your wealth over time. I'm Ibrahim Khan. I've been studying economics and traditional Islamic sciences for over 13 years now. I've been lucky enough over the years to have been covered by various publications and have authored a book on halal investing. IFG started with my co-founder Mohsin alongside our legal careers in the city. Today, IFG is, alhamdulillah, a team of 20 plus people, and we serve the community through IFG, our content arm, and Curate Capital, our investment arm. Earning haram income or engaging in transactions that are questionable or unethical can seriously diminish the barakah in our wealth. Prophet ﷺ mentioned to us the story of a man who was traveling and he was disheveled and dusty and he was in need, and he spread out his hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he said, "O Lord," but his food was haram, his drink was haram, his clothing was haram, and he had been nourished with haram. And Prophet ﷺ said, how can a man like that expect his dua to be answered? Many of us unfortunately are in the same boat. If we're working in some kind of interest-based company, if we're working and serving alcohol, if we're selling alcohol, if we're working in some kind of company that's linked to gambling, there are so many Muslims out there, unfortunately and perhaps unintentionally, are working and supporting haram economic endeavors. Those Muslims are still fasting in Ramadan. Those Muslims are still standing in Ramadan and they're crying during Taraweeh and they're raising their hands. But this is a hadith that really could well be describing you if you're in that position. Zakat isn't the same as sadaqah. It's an obligatory charity that Muslims are required to give from their wealth that benefits the poor and the needy. It needs to be calculated every single year. Randomly giving money here or there doesn't really cut it. And neglecting to fulfill this duty can not only reduce the barakah in your wealth, but actual punishment and torment in the hereafter can follow as well. Now there's a very specific hadith about the man who was given wealth by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he did not pay zakat on his wealth. And on the day of resurrection, his wealth will actually come back like a bald-headed, poisonous male snake with 2 black spots over the eyes. And this snake will encircle the neck of this man and bite his cheek and say, "I am your wealth, I am your treasure." So folks, many of us may not have been paying our zakat properly. You may not know that your zakat is potentially due on your pension. Your zakat is potentially due on the loans that you've given out to people. You may not know that zakat is potentially due on the gold that you might be owning. There are so many different aspects to zakat. And if we have never properly dedicated ourselves to understanding and studying this thing that we have to pay every single year, then we may unintentionally be falling into sin that could be avoided. Folks, this is one that you probably know already, but engaging and interacting with riba, where interest is charged or earned, is an outright haram in Islam and can lead to a decrease in barakah. I have met countless people in my journey through wealth and finance and investments where people used to take interest and deal in interest, and they said to me that there was no barakah in their wealth during that period. And when things go wrong, especially with interest-based loans, things can go spectacularly and horribly wrong, and they can end up losing everything. And there's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He declares war on people who are dealing in interest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that they are the people who are the companions of the fire and they will abide therein forever. And if you are someone that is engaged in interest, then please don't be that person who tries to then justify it by saying that actually this interest is not the interest of the Quran, or this is something else entirely, or this is allowed because of necessity. This is haram, and it's very clear in the Quran Quran and the Hadith. So at least acknowledge that. And then the next thing that you should do is then avoid that thing entirely and transfer your wealth and your practices so that you move away from interest. I walk into Muslim gatherings, weddings or events, and you see at the end of the meal, the amount of food that is left on the table, the amount of food that is now going to be thrown into the rubbish. And that is replicated in each of our households as well, where so much food waste, so many other kinds of extravagance and wastefulness take place. All of this stuff is reducing the barakah in our wealth. Islam encourages moderation and prohibits squandering of wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, but waste not by excess, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves not those who waste. So next time you're buying in the supermarket and you end up buying more and that ends up going to waste, next time be careful when you go into the supermarket. Next time be careful what you ladle out into a plate, because that could be the stuff that is keeping you poor. This is another major problem in our community, neglecting to fulfill financial responsibilities such as paying off their debts or fulfilling promises regarding financial matters. These can lead to a major decrease in our barakah. Our Prophet described that if there are two people who are involved in a transaction and they are truthful and clear in their dealings, then their transactions will be blessed. But if they lie and conceal something, the blessing of their transaction will be destroyed. And look folks, the reality is that all of us have messed up financially, economically, at some point in the past, whether that's a haram investment, whether that might be stealing something, even if it's something small, whether that's making some kind of riba-based transaction. All of us, I'm sure, have some kind of issue in our past. Let's take this as a moment to tidy that up. If you've stolen something, give that back. If you've stolen something and you can't give that back, give a donation back. If you've perhaps been involved in riba, try and clear that loan entirely. If you're involved in some kind of inheritance dispute, try and get that in front of a sharia court, or you can even give up your right and just move on from things so that there is more barakah in your wealth as a whole. So there we have it folks, 5 things that are sapping away at the barakah and reducing your wealth. And we talk often about the practical things that you can do to increase your wealth, but if you are committing these own goals, there's no point trying to pour more water in at the top of the bucket whilst we've not plugged these barakah leaking gaps at the bottom. Let us know if you think that there are other things that people are doing which are causing a loss in barakah in the comments below, and also how they can try and move on and avoid those things as well. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.